The curse of Aling Iska in the small coastal town of Alitaptap, where the waves whispered secrets and the wind carried old stories. There stood a crumbling house at the edge of the mangroves. No one dared walk past it after sunset, not even the bravest fisherman. It belonged to Aling Iska long ago. She had been a healer, a highlot, and her hands were known to mend broken bones and restless spirits. But something changed when her only daughter Rosalind died suddenly. Some said it was the fever, others whispered darker things like envy, jealousy, that led to her death at only 17. They buried Rosalind in the cemetery, near the chapel, white dress, soaked with tears and candles flickering in the rain, and Aling Iska never spoke again. She closed her house, sealed the windows with old rags, and hung strange talismans made from bird bones and carabao teeth. She stopped tending to the sick. She stopped attending Sunday Mass. She just stared from behind a dusty curtain with eyes that looked deeper than they should have. The townspeople began to fear her. Children were warned never to look her in the eye. They said she talked to shadows. They said animals died near her home. They said if you dreamt of her, you would wake up with bruises shaped like fingers on your neck. One by one things began to happen. A fisherman named Lito mocked her outside the Sarasari store, called her Bruja, cursed her name. 3 days later his boat overturned during calm seas. His body was found bloated and witty, tangled in seaweed and barnacles, his mouth stuffed with black feathers. A teacher who accused her of poisoning the school well came down with a strange sickness. Her skin peeled like old paper, her tongue turned black, and she spoke only in whispers until the day she died. Her last words were in a language no one understood. People begged the priest to bless her home, but he refused. He said the evil was too strong, too old to be driven out with holy water and candles. He said sometimes the devil wears the face of grief. Then came Mia. Mia was 16, sharp-tongued, stubborn, raised in Manila by her mother, but sent to Alitaptap after getting into a fight with a classmate that ended with a broken nose. Her mother thought the province would change her, soften her. But Mia hated everything: the heat, the mosquitoes, the way the people stared at her like she didn't belong. She moved in with her grandmother Lola Nina, a kind woman who sold dried fish at the market and believed in the old ways. One night Mia saw her Aling Iska standing by the shore, barefoot, hair wild and tangled, her hands raised to the sea, speaking in a voice not quite human, not quite earthly. Mia didn't blink, didn't breathe. She just watched until Aling Iska turned slowly and smiled a smile with too many teeth. Mia ran, but something followed her. It started with dreams, dark dreams. Rosalind standing at the foot of her bed, eyes sewn shut, whispering your name is not yours, your soul is not safe. Mia began waking up with scratches on her arms, welts on her back like someone had lashed her with vines. Her phone stopped working. Her reflection in the mirror lagged behind like it didn't want to follow her movements. She told Lola Nina, who clutched her rosary, and began praying in whispers, throwing salt at the windows and burning coconut husks in every corner of the house. But Mia knew it wasn't enough. She had seen something, and now it had seen her too. One morning, she found a small doll outside the house made of twine and dried leaves with her hair tied to it with red thread. Its eyes were two tiny pearls that pulsed like they were alive. She tried to burn it, but the fire wouldn't catch. The doll screamed. That night she returned to the shore. Aling Iska was waiting. "Why me?" Mia shouted. "What do you want?" The Mancuculam's voice was slow, ancient, like water trickling through stones. "You looked when you weren't meant to. You heard what was not yours to hear. Now she wants your skin. She wants to live again through you." Mia felt her legs give out. The sand swallowed her knees. The sea began to rise, though there was no moon, no storm. Rosalind rose from the water, skin pale as bone, hair floating like seaweed, eyes still sealed shut. She opened her mouth, and a sound came out like wind through hollow bones. "Run, child," Aling Iska whispered. But Mia couldn't move. She was already cold, already sinking. Lola Nina found her the next morning, curled at the edge of the mangroves, lips blue, skin marked with symbols that glowed faintly in the light of day. She never spoke again. The townspeople knew. They left offerings at the Mancuculam's door: rice, eggs, coins wrapped in banana leaves, sometimes a lock of hair, sometimes a tooth from a sick child. And Aling Iska remained watching from her curtain, whispering to the sea, waiting for the next girl to see too much. The hollow mother of Barang Gunay sat at the foot of Mount Balagan, where the fog curled through the trees like fingers in search of warmth, where the nights never slept, and the wind carried voices. No one wanted to answer. The villagers lived quietly, obeyed the rules, kept their eyes down. When walking past old trees, avoided the stream behind the churchyard, never asked who lived in the hut past the cliff, and above all never spoke the name of the hollow mother. But then Mina arrived, 16, sharp-spirited, fresh from the city, with dyed hair and anger in her eyes. Her parents left her with her uncle for the summer, hoping the mountain air would cure her rebellion. She hated Barang Gun, the roosters, the prayers, the silence, the way her uncle locked all windows at night, as if scared of air itself, the way he burned incense under her bed and whispered old chants when he thought she was asleep, the way he cried once while scrubbing a strange mark off her shoulder like it meant something. Mina had never heard of the hollow mother. Not until the night she followed the sound. She couldn't sleep, heard something brushing against the walls, soft like leaves, soft like whispers. And when she peeked through the bamboo blinds, she saw her, a woman, tall, pale, bones sharp beneath skin so thin It seemed to ripple with every step, her long white hair dragging behind her like a bridal veil, her fingers curling and uncurling, as if weaving something invisible, her eyes completely black, no whites, no color. And in her arms something small wrapped in bark and blood. Hollow Mother was cradling a bundle that moved. Mina followed through rice fields and past sleeping carabaos, over fences, and into the woods where even birds dared not sing. She walked without shoes, didn't feel the rocks, didn't feel the branches scratching her legs, as if the forest held its breath. The Hollow Mother walked into a clearing, filled with candles placed in perfect circles. The trees around were scorched as if from fire, but no flame burned now, only wind and ash and whispers in tongues older than words. And there the bundle screamed. It wasn't a baby, it wasn't even human. Mina stepped back, but a twig snapped. The Hollow Mother turned slowly, lips peeling into a grin that split her cheeks open, revealing no teeth, only endless rows of sewing needles. You followed. Her voice sounded like birds dying. Mina ran. She woke in her bed, drenched in sweat, her uncle at her side holding salt water and pressing a rosary into her palm. He didn't ask, he already knew. You saw her, didn't you? He asked, his voice shaking like old. Would you followed the Hollow Mother, and now shall follow you. He told her the truth long ago. There was a woman named Aling Damiana, a healer midwife, called upon during births and deaths. She never married, never had children, until one night she delivered a stillborn girl for the mayor's wife, and the mayor in his grief blamed her, said she was cursed, drove her from the village, burned her hut, beat her until her hands broke, said she would never touch a child again. But she did. They found the mayor's newborn weeks later. Bones snapped, tongue torn from its mouth, skin stitched to a doll made of bark and fish bones. Aling Damiana vanished, but not truly, they say. She entered the trees, became part of them, learned the ways of the old earth, the forgotten spirits, they say. She made a womb of vines and grew her children from stolen breath. They called her the Hollow Mother. She takes those who look too long, those who follow, those who call her name. Even in dreams Mina didn't believe, until the shadows started whispering. They said things she couldn't understand, words that curled under her skin and pulsed in her stomach at night. She woke up gagging on feathers, once with mud in her throat, once with a baby tooth on her tongue. She heard lullabies when no one was singing, saw children staring at her from mirrors, holding dolls with her hair tied to them. Her uncle tried to help, called an albulario from the next village, a blind man with hands that smelled of wood and garlic. He placed stones on her chest, sprinkled ash in her shoes, and said, "Your soul is unraveling, child. The witch is stitching herself into you." The ritual began at dusk, chants in forgotten dialects, blood from a black chicken, circles made of salt and lime. And Soot the blind healer told her not to open her eyes, not to move, not to speak, no matter what she heard. But she did. When the crying started, it was a baby's cry, soft and desperate, and Mina felt her chest ache, her arms tingle. As if longing to hold something, she opened her eyes, and the hollow mother was there, her face inches from Mina's, her hair moving like smoke, her breath cold and damp like morning fog. Her hand reached forward, long fingers brushing Mina's cheek. And suddenly the crying stopped, and Mina smiled. The healer screamed, "Too late. She chose you." The healer whispered, "She gave you her hunger. And now you are motherless and never alone." Mina fainted. When she woke, the world felt different. Sounds sharper, shadows slower, her skin constantly itchy from inside out, her mouth dry and full of names she didn't know. Her uncle tried to leave the barangay, but the roads were gone, washed away by a rain that no one remembered falling. At night, Mina sat by the trees, listening to the forest whispering, feeding something that cried beneath the floorboards. A bundle wrapped in bark and blood, rocking gently in her arms. She didn't remember picking it up. She didn't remember being afraid, only that the hollow mother smiled at her in dreams and said, "Now, we are one now. We are many now. You will never be empty again." Weeks passed. Her uncle's body was found in the well, folded neatly in half, mouth full of needles. The villagers stopped looking. They say you can hear a lullaby if you stand by the trees too long. They say children go missing without a sound, only to be found later holding dolls with black buttons for eyes and their own hair woven into the threads. They say a young girl walks the barangay barefoot and smiling, cradling something in her arms, something that coos and whispers and grows teeth too fast. And in the forest near Mount Balagan, where the fog sleeps and the air tastes like old milk, you can sometimes see two women walking together, one pale and tall with fingers like thread, and the other young and quiet, singing to a bundle that shifts and cries for more, more names, more breath, more bones. The Skin Witch of Sitio, Banlak, in the far corner of Rizal Province, nestled between two sleeping mountains and a forest with no name. There lies a sitio so small even maps pretend it doesn't exist. Sitio Banlak. The houses are quiet, mostly made of bamboo and old tin roofs patched with whatever the wind hasn't stolen. The air smells of river stones and smoke from cooking fires. And the old people whisper to their chickens like the birds understand better than God. In this sitio, there is a name you do not say after dark. Sella, they say. She was once the most beautiful girl in Banlak, skin pale as rice, eyes like stormwater, fingers thin and soft as vines. She could calm any crying child, could coax flowers to bloom even in December. But she was never seen at church, never seen praying, only walking barefoot through wet grass. and singing to herself songs with no tune and words no one taught her. One night a boy named Elias followed her. He was drunk on gin and laughter. He said he wanted to see what the forest hid, said maybe Sella wasn't real, just a lonely dream for boys with heat in their blood. He was never found, only his shirt was discovered nailed to a tree, inside out, covered in ants, his teeth in a small pile beneath it. After that the Barang Gunay put salt around their doors, left rice by the windows, stopped saying her name even during storms when strange things moved past the trees, and the dogs refused to bark until Kira came 16, and angry with the world, angry with her parents who sent her to Banlak to care for her grandmother after a messy fight with a teacher over a missing phone, angry at the signal that vanished the moment she stepped off the jeepney, angry at the silence of the forest, and the way her Lola kept whispering prayers into a bowl of water at night. Her Lola was frail, with hands like twigs and eyes that never looked out the window. She told Kira to never stay out after sundown, never bathe in the river, never speak to any woman who smelled like sampagita, even if she looked lost. Even if she cried, Kira thought it was nonsense, until the mirror cracked. It happened on the fourth night. Kira was brushing her hair when her reflection moved slower than she did, like it was thinking on its own. Then the mirror cracked clean down the center, and her reflection smiled. But she didn't that night. The wind outside whispered her name, not screamed, not moaned, whispered like a secret lover waiting in the grass. She woke with a dead chicken in her bed, its neck twisted, and its eyes missing. She told her Lola, who only nodded and gave her 3 white stones, told her to keep them in her pocket, told her to never give anyone her name, even if they asked sweetly, even if they said they were family. Because Sella wears many faces now. Kira didn't believe until she saw her, a woman standing in the trees, tall and pale, with hair that touched the ground, and a voice like hummingbirds caught in a bottle. She didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe, just smiled and opened her arms. Kira felt herself stepping forward, even though her feet screamed no, even though her grandmother's voice echoed in her spine. She only stopped when something sharp hit her chest, one of the white stones, hot now like it had been in fire. The woman's face changed, the smile dropped like wet cloth, her eyes bled black, and her skin peeled slowly, revealing something beneath, something that writhed. Kira ran, but the forest ran with her. The trees changed shape behind her. The path shifted, roots grabbed at her ankles, whispering secrets of bones and salt and broken mothers. Her shirt was torn by unseen hands, and her hair filled with spiders that vanished when she screamed. She made it back, but her Lola was gone. The house was filled with water, just a thin layer covering the floor, reflecting a sky that was not night or day, But something in between. She found her grandmother curled in the kitchen, eyes wide, lips sealed with thread. And on the walls were names written in dried blood, none of them hers, but all of them familiar names from old photos, names from forgotten stories, names that meant something. Kira tried to leave, but the road was gone. The mountains seemed closer. Then before the forest thicker, her phone filled with pictures. She never took photos of herself sleeping, photos of her brushing her teeth, photos of her staring at something just outside the frame. Then came the dreams in them. She was walking through the woods with Sella's hand in hers, fingers cold as wet leaves, her voice soft as fire, telling her how she wore the skins of those who loved her, how the world had shamed her, punished her, burned her. And yet she still found ways to be beautiful, to survive, to collect names and wear them like dresses. She said, "I want yours." Kira stopped sleeping. Her eyes turned yellow, then black around the edges. Her nails grew long and dirty. Her teeth ached like they were shifting. She started to see through walls, hear children sobbing in basins of water, started to know things before they happened, like a goat that gave birth to a two-headed kid, like the boy who drowned chasing his own shadow. She found the old diary beneath the floorboard, filled with pressed flowers and hair, some entries written in Kira's own handwriting, even though she had never seen the book before. One line repeated over and over, until the ink tore through the page: "She is me, I am her. She is me, I am her." One night Sella came inside. She didn't knock, didn't ask, just stepped in like a shadow on fire, her body shimmering like snake skin, her hands long and smooth, her mouth stretched from cheek to cheek. She said, "You are ready." Kira didn't run, she smiled. The next morning the Lola's house was empty. Only a pile of hair and a cracked mirror remained, and the trees outside were blooming sampagita, even though it was the wrong season, they say. A new girl walks Banlak, now young and beautiful, and always barefoot. She never blinks, and her smile is too wide. She visits mothers with sick children and leaves with strands of their hair. She sings in a language that makes birds fall silent. She never leaves footprints, even in the mud. And when the wind blows through the mountains, it carries a name no one dares repeat, because the Skin Witch is always listening, always watching, always hungry for a new name to wear.
If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching, and remember, whatever happens, don't look back.